Welcome back to the 8th episode of Real College Reviews. This one's a special one. It's our first virtual podcast ever, and I'm joined by my friend Rory. Rory, you want to introduce yourself a little bit more to the audience?
Yeah, I'm Rory Carney. I'm going into my junior year at the University of Pittsburgh, and I'm a marketing major.
Rory, that's amazing. And where are you talking to us from? Because everyone before this, in this season and the past season, they've been in my house in Caldwell, New Jersey. Where are you coming to us from?
Coming to you live in Webster, New York.
And that's amazing, man. This podcast has really grown over the past year and a half. So again, Rory, just thank you. And I'll jump right into the questions and we'll get more into Pitt specifically, but what other colleges were you looking at throughout the whole process of college admissions? And I mean, what made you choose Pitt over those other schools?
Yeah, I was looking at a couple other schools, including the University of Buffalo, University of Binghamton, Geneseo, Oswego, and the main reason I chose Pitt is just because it was relatively affordable and it was something new, like a new place, like new start.
Right.
Nobody I knew was going there.
And a lot of those other schools that you just said, like Geneseo, Buffalo, they're state schools for you in New York, right?
Yeah, they're part of the SUNY schools in New York.
So with that, do a lot of kids from your high school, would they go to those schools, or were they, still maybe, would they be new places, or would it just kind of be seeing the same faces an hour or two away?
There's definitely a lot of people from our high school that attend those schools, but I mean, there's obviously still the opportunity.
Right.
But I just thought it would be better for me to maybe venture out, and it's been a good decision so far.
Yeah, man. And were there any, besides the location and it just being affordable, like you said, in a new place, any other specific draws about Pittsburgh that really brought you into the school over the other ones you were looking at?
I was a big fan of the campus. It's a really nice campus, and it has more of a city feel if you're looking for a campus.
Yeah.
Like in a city location.
And with that, we'll touch on the campus a little bit later on. But, jumping first into the classroom, really, how have the quality of classes been throughout your first 2 years, and the professors as well? Have they been good, bad, a mix? I mean, just tell me what your experience has been so far.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the first and second year classes are more like bigger classes that people have to take to fulfill requirements.
Right.
So I feel like those classes can be tough because there's going to be big lecture hall, potentially 300 people.
Yeah.
And you don't know what you're going to get with the professors. But I've had a lot of good ones.
What class have your favorite ones been in? Because I know at some of those big gen ed classes where I go at Syracuse, you have the same exact thing. Would they be taken astronomy, or was it stuff at least sort of related to marketing?
As a marketing major, there's certain marketing classes I have to take, but I also have to take a history, a foreign culture, a philosophy, stuff like that kind of. It's more
Right.
the general requirements.
Yeah, so really just kind of a lot of random stuff. And then jumping into the coursework too, transitioning from high school, was it a challenge going to Pittsburgh's workload, or was it easy? Was it kind of in the middle? I mean, what'd you feel like going from a high school workload to that college workload?
I'd say it was definitely a bit of a challenge just because I feel like high school definitely wasn't as difficult, especially when it comes to the studying aspect.
Yeah.
I feel like college, you definitely need to put in a lot more time outside of class in order to actually understand the material.
And in terms of I guess I'll ask this too, what was your best way of studying, at least through your first 2 years? Did you go to the library? Did you do it in your dorm room, alone, with people? I mean, what worked for you and what didn't work for you?
What worked best for me was usually studying with other people.
Yeah.
Especially when it's they're in the same class. Because when you see other people around you are focused, it kind of motivates you to get stuff done.
True.
And there's always the chance to clarify questions with other people when they have the same classes that you're taking as well.
Yeah, and I think it also, too, another aspect that, I'll jump right into as well, is it helps you make friends. And with that being said, what are your peers like at Pittsburgh? I mean, how would you describe the typical Pittsburgh student, and would you think that you fit in well to the Pitt community?
Yeah, I feel like my friends are relatively similar to me, pretty easygoing, into sports, but still focused on school, like to go out, have fun. And as far as the typical Pitt student, I feel like there's just so many different types of people on campus that no matter who goes there, you're always gonna find people that you can get along with.
Right. I guess that's a benefit too of a big school, which we'll get into as well. But would you say, you mentioned how everyone's focused on school, but at the same time, you and your friends like to go out and have fun. Is it a work hard, play hard environment at Pitt, or does one kind of does the play sometimes come before the work?
I definitely say it's a work hard, play hard environment for most people.
Yeah.
But obviously, some people aren't afraid to have a little too much fun, as they say.
That's at every school too. Syracuse again, and some other big schools. Yeah, it definitely, and some people it works, which is the crazy part. But jumping into the campus, which you mentioned as well, stuck out to you when choosing schools. I mean, is there anything special? Like, if there was one thing you could tell me about Pitt's campus, what would you lead me to, and what would it be?
I would say the Cathedral of Learning. It's one of the biggest. It's one of the tallest,
Is
actually,
that the
academic
big? Is that the
buildings.
big tall one that when you look up the
Yeah,
campus on? Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I think it's the tallest academic building in the U.S. or
Oh
like
wow.
something like that. And they also have like nationality rooms. So like each like certain nationalities, they have like a room dedicated. Like they have like a Turkish room, and it has like artifacts and like the history and like the flag. So they have cool rooms. It's a nice building. A lot of classrooms as well.
And do you find yourself going in there at all? Because I know on some campuses, the big thing that you look up when you search it up on Google or wherever else, not a lot of people go. And do you see yourself typically going into that Cathedral of Learning pretty often?
Yeah, I was there pretty often because it is like 35 floors or something, so there are a lot of classrooms in there.
Okay.
Then the basement also has like some food options that like you can use with like a meal plan. So that
Okay.
was nice.
It definitely seems like a very mixed purpose use building. And besides the Cathedral of Learning, the campus itself, it's pretty, right? But it's also, you said it's more of a city campus. I guess what I'm trying to ask here, is it more of a city campus or is it a traditional campus like you have at Syracuse or, Miami of Ohio, somewhere like that where it's just kind of open space and the college claims it?
I'd say it's more of a city campus because it is like if you it is right like in the city and like there is like green space or like nice green areas around like the campus as well, but it is like in the city and like there are like a lot of people like living like right near where you could be living like on campus.
So even like if you're in the dorm rooms, you could be right next to like a family of four's house.
Not like right next to I guess, but like pretty close.
Yeah. Closer than
Like
most
everything's in
schools.
close quarters.
Yeah. And that's kind of cool too. And you said there's green spaces, which is good because a lot of those city schools don't. And, is it easy, not easy getting off campus, but I guess as a freshman too, were you really on campus for the most part, or because it's so intertwined with the city of Pittsburgh, did you find yourself kind of wandering and venturing off into the city itself?
I feel like I mostly stayed on campus just
Okay.
because like I wasn't like really like I didn't know much about the city at that time,
Right.
and like most like people stayed on campus anyways. But there were times like when we went out like went off campus, and we also have to go like off campus to attend like football games, which
Oh,
is like a
oh,
big
right. They play in the Steelers stadium, right?
yeah. So Acrisure Stadium, there's like campus like shuttles whatever, so they like have to take you to the stadium. It's like a 15-minute bus ride.
It's not as convenient as Syracuse, or I know Providence College, their hockey team plays on campus, but I know Miami as well, University of Miami in Florida. It's like a 17-mile bus ride on the highway. But going back to the campus specifically, I know a lot of colleges have really done a lot of construction, post COVID, during COVID. Is it a campus that's getting a facelift, or is it kind of staying the same?
Yeah, it's definitely getting a lot of construction,
Okay.
but I feel like the construction isn't necessarily getting done very quickly. However, they did just like totally renovate the dining hall. So it's like completely new, which I think is definitely better for the dining hall for everyone that has a meal plan as well.
Yeah, and I guess that's a perfect transition to the next topic, which is dining halls. Everyone loves to talk about them. Before it was renovated, I'll ask this: was it a bad dining hall, or was it fine and they just really wanted to give it a boost?
I wouldn't say it was bad. I think more of like the problem is like when you're going like multiple times a day, they
Right.
didn't have a ton of variety. So it's like if you're there all the time, it wasn't very good. Like the food itself isn't bad, but I think the renovations, like each station is now like more specific. Like they have specific types of food,
Okay.
which I feel like is better because you can like switch it up easier, and they're gonna have more options now that the renovations are basically done.
Yeah, I think it's a huge help too, because I faced the same problem my freshman year too when I had a meal plan where it's like, I teeter towards the picky eater side. I'm having pizza and burgers every single day, and you get sick of it. Even if the food's good, you're gonna get sick of it. Most dining halls, the food's kind of mid, for lack of a better term. And is that the only dining hall at Pitt, or are there multiple? And are some dining halls, if there are multiple, better than other ones, or is it all kind of the same?
Yeah, they have the main dining hall, which is like the eatery, and then they have a dining hall more on upper campus, which
Okay.
is like a lot smaller. And that dining hall did not get like renovated, and it's like not as many stations, and I don't think it's as good or like as worth it to go.
So how many is that? That's two dining halls, if I was counting correctly, or are there some more that I'm missing out on?
No, it's just two dining halls, but then there's like campus food places, I guess you could call them, like pizza places on campus in like the student union building,
And you
but
could
just two dining halls.
and you could use like what do they call it, like Pit Cash or Panther Cash or Panther Bucks? Can you use stuff that isn't U.S. dollars at those stations that are on campus, or is it just strictly money from your own pocket?
So you can use Panther funds,
I
which
knew it
like
was
you can
something with the Panther. I knew it was something with the
yeah.
Panther.
So you can use Panther funds, which like you can also use for laundry as well, because you have to pay for that.
Hmm.
And then you can also use dining dollars on campus, and you can also use. We have this thing called a meal swap.
Oh, what's
So
that?
so basically, if you go to the dining hall, like you have to swipe in,
Hmm.
and it's like, I guess like the value they deemed it was worth is $12.
Okay.
But most meal plans have like a meal swap. So like instead of going to the dining hall, you can use a meal swap and swap out the dining hall for another on-campus place for up to
Interesting.
$12.
Oh, so that could get you a lot then, right? Because it's not like they value it at $6, where like maybe you get a slice or two of pizza. $12 to get you a burger and some fries at the right place.
Yeah, so like if you're sick of the dining hall, you could like go to like the Einstein Bagel Bros or like the Chick-fil-A or the like Wicked Pie pizza place.
Oh,
So
so
that was nice.
you get to use it at Chick-fil-A too. That's OP. That's
Yeah.
the best possible. That's an amazing. That's oh man. Now I wish I went to Pitt, man.
It's nice, but I mean the line is always crazy there.
Even if you go at off times at Chick-fil-A, it's just out the door.
Yeah, no matter what time.
It gets like that too. Again, no matter where. I know at Syracuse, for as big of a school as we are, we have Panda Express, Core Life, and then Halal Shack, and that's it. And the lines, if you go at the wrong time, like in between when classes are switching, it's crazy. But you brought up meal plans before. When you're a freshman, is it mandatory? And then is it mandatory for your next 3 years as well?
So when you're a freshman, you're living like you have to live in like a residence hall.
Right.
So it is like mandatory to have some sort of meal plan. And most people I know like had the unlimited plan. I'm not quite sure if you need that specific plan,
Right.
but most people I know had that. But then if you're in like apartment style on campus housing, then you like a dining plan is not mandatory at all.
And
So
I guess again, perfect segue. Or so, were you saying something? My bad.
oh no, I was just gonna say so like it's basically just freshmen that need a meal plan for the
Oh,
most part.
yeah. No, again, I think that transitions perfectly into something that always ties into dining halls, and that's dorm rooms. When you were a freshman, I assume you lived in a typical two-person dorm room, right? Or was it a different arrangement for you?
Yeah, I lived in a two-person dorm room freshman year.
And how was that? Was it would you say a normal college dorm room, or was it smaller, bigger? What was it like?
I'd say it was probably a normal college dorm room.
Nothing to. I'll ask this too. Did you have AC? I guess in Pittsburgh it's not too important after end of September, but it's always a benefit.
Yeah, I was in the towers buildings at Pitt, and we did have air conditioning, which was super nice.
You're lucky. Are the towers, is that considered the best dorm for freshmen, or are there some that are even better than that?
There is a like residence hall that's like nicer. That is Nordenberg Hall, just because it was like built in like 2012 or something like
Oh,
that.
so it's
So
new.
it's the newest one, whereas the other ones are a lot older.
Right. And even the fact you have AC surprised me. And you dove into talked a little bit about the apartment style housing after your freshman year. What are some other options on campus and off campus, as a sophomore and beyond?
So my sophomore year, we were still on campus, me and my roommates.
Hmm.
So we lived in Bouquet Gardens apartments. So it was four people. Each person had their own room.
Oh, that's nice.
But there wasn't like a security guard or anything, and there wasn't an RA, which was super nice.
Yeah.
And there's also Ruskin Hall, which a lot of people live in, which is it's like apartments as well for like sophomores and juniors. And a lot of people also lived in Panther Hall and Irvis Hall, which is kind of like your freshman year dorm, just again.
Right.
And it's a lottery system as well.
And what would most people choose? Like, what was the popular option for rising sophomores last year? Was it the traditional dorm rooms or was it the apartment style stuff that you lived in?
It kind of depended. Like a lot of people like wanted to go off campus just for like the freedom, like
Mm-hmm.
and like the ability to kind of like do whatever they want.
Oh yeah.
But if people did want to stay on campus, it kind of like depended on your lottery number because like the apartment style buildings like went first just because like no RA, it's more like freedom, super chill.
Yeah. And with that, we'll dive into, I guess, the party social life aspect in a little bit. But did you cook for yourself, and how did that go for your sophomore year?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I still did have a meal plan sophomore year, so I usually did not cook for myself, but I might this year. Who knows?
We'll see. I learned a little bit. Our friend Mike, he taught me how to make some burgers on the stove, and those are really good. He's a good cook, but that's besides the point. And this is one of my favorite questions to ask too. Your freshman year, are there any fun stories that you have from your freshman roommate, or any other stuff that you heard at during your time at Pittsburgh during your freshman year, just with either fights in the dorm room or maybe even a good story? But freshman year dorm stories are sometimes some of the best parts of the college experience.
Freshman year, my roommate, super nice guy, but just very weird tendencies. So like one weekend, it's like Friday, like maybe 7 o'clock.
Hmm.
He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna head out." So like he heads out, whatever. Then like I hang with my friends that night, come back at like 2 a.m., go to bed. He's still not there.
Okay.
Then I like wake up at like 8 and he's like not there
Interesting.
either. So then like I go through my day, whatever, then like hang out. Then it becomes like Saturday night. Still haven't seen him all of Saturday,
Oh,
whatever.
jeez.
Then like go to bed Saturday night. And then like not till Sunday at 10 o'clock,
In
he
the
like
morning or at
walks
night?
in at night.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, "Oh, did you like like go home for like the weekend?" He's like, "Oh no, I was just like up and out of here." So like I didn't see him for like more than 2 whole days, but we were both like on campus, like in the dorm room, because like I guess he just got back between like 2 a.m. and 8 a.m. like I guess Saturday morning,
That's
and just like was out of there.
yeah, that's I'd be freaked out if that were me, just not seeing him for 2 whole days. It's definitely an interesting one, but besides that, you got along with him, and if there was sort of a disagreement, like how'd you go about that? Maybe if like he was leaving stuff on your side. I know that's a common one with freshman year roommates. Or was it really just smooth sailing with this guy?
I'd say it was pretty smooth sailing for the most part. I can't really think of anything that like we got like super mad about at each other, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and that's always a good thing. If you can't think of anything off the top of your head, that probably does mean it was smooth sailing. And then jumping more onto campus life, what do you do for fun outside of class? Like, are there any clubs or societies that you're involved in?
I'm part of the club running team at Pitt, so we have like practice Monday through Friday, like optional. You can kind of show up which like whenever you want.
Hmm.
Like it's cool because like some people are like just starting running, like they're like not they don't have the time to show up as much.
Yeah.
But then there's also people that are like there every day, like super competitive, that like sign up for all like the meets we go to,
Right.
which is cool. So I thought that's definitely something that I'm glad I got involved in. And I'm also in a business fraternity. It's like Phi Chi Theta. So it's basically just like you learn more like about the business world. Like we have like social events, like professional development events.
Hmm.
Like cool, good place to meet people and like kind of like learn more about your major and stuff like that.
Yeah, and networking too, I'm sure is great with that business fraternity as well.
Yeah, definitely. I've learned like a lot about like a lot of stuff you like may not learn in classes was cool because like I was able to learn it from like upperclassmen who had like job offers from like definitely like big companies. So
Yeah.
like they know like resume stuff, networking, all that.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And are there any other clubs that, you might not be involved in but are popular on Pitt's campus?
I mean, like social frats are definitely a big thing that people are involved in.
Yeah.
I know clubs. I mean, a lot of people are involved in like other club sports, like club soccer, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like intramurals too, people like to play.
And intramurals, just to clarify for everyone listening, it's not competitive at all. It's kind of just like you sign up with your friends and you play once a week. There's no practices, stuff like that.
Yeah, but like it's kind of hard to get like signed up for intramurals because like there's only a certain amount of slots, and like a lot of people like want to like create teams for those, which was definitely something I found tough, like at Pitt.
There's just so many people and not enough spots, you're saying?
Yeah, like there's only like a certain amount of teams you can have like per league, like per season, kind of. And it's like, oh, like you're able to sign up like this date, this time, and it's like you're like on 2 minutes later and it's already full.
So it is that
Just tough.
competitive. And
Yeah, like just to get spots.
yeah, that's crazy, especially for an intramural sport. In my, I love playing sports, and not really competitively anymore, but definitely on the intramural level at college. And I find the same thing too, where the spots get filled up a little bit quicker than you would like. But a question I have for you about Pittsburgh, and kind of going back to the campus, it's a it's a big school, it's a state school, but it's in a city. Are there buses that could bring you from one part of campus to the other, or is it a very walkable campus?
Yeah, usually when we're on campus, like everything is in like a walkable distance. Like places could be like 15, 20-minute walk, which is kind of like unfortunate.
Yeah.
However, if you ever do need to go off campus, like our Pitt Panther cards, like do give us free access to the city transportation, which is the Port Authority busing system.
Okay.
So that's nice if you ever need to go off campus, you can just like get on the right bus and it'll be free with your Pitt card.
Yeah, that's definitely not. Where do those buses bring you? Like to sports games or downtown or just kind of anywhere you want?
Yeah, they can basically just bring you anywhere like in the city, honestly, whatever you need.
Yeah, that's definitely. Have you ever used that, or have you not really touched it?
Yeah, I have because I had to go to a store visit for my internship. So I was able to take a bus there. And then I also had to go to orientation when I was working at Pittsburgh McDonald's, which was off campus downtown.
So you had a job while you were at school.
Yeah.
How was that? Because I really a lot of it's become a trend now, and myself included, where you work at home during the summer and winter break, and you kind of take a break from it while you're at school. How is it juggling, your workload and the clubs you're involved in, along with a part-time job at school?
So I actually only worked my freshman year mainly because my parents like were very adamant on me like getting a job,
Okay.
which I thought was interesting. Like I was just trying to like focus on school, whatever.
Right.
But it wasn't too bad for me because I was only working like 8 hours a week.
Oh, so that's yeah, not that much.
Yeah, I wasn't working like a ton, and it was just nice because like it was at night anyway, so I wasn't missing classes.
Yeah.
I just had to kind of like during when I was working, I kind of just had to like make sure like I got my homework done either before or like a different time before it was due, I guess. So it's
Yeah.
kind of just time management.
Do most kids at Pitt have a job, or are most just taking I guess you could say a semester long break from working and focusing on school?
Yeah, most people I know don't have a job, just focusing on school and also like clubs, sports, like activities, stuff like that,
Yeah.
which I think is definitely like a good thing while on campus.
Yeah, I do too. Because again, you only got 4 years of college, and 8 hours a week again is not that much. But if you're working 25, 30 hours, sometimes you might miss out on some of the unique things about college that make the experience so great. And moving again back to campus, you brought up Greek life before and how it's very big. If you could give me just a ballpark about, how many frats and sororities there are on campus, and I guess is it, is that the only thing to do if you want to go out and have fun, or are there other options as well?
There's definitely like I don't know, it's definitely kind of tough because I feel like if you are trying to like go to like certain like parties and events like that, it's like it's definitely easier like being in a frat or like having connections to people
Right,
in a frat,
right.
I'd say. And I believe there's about like 20 frats at Pitt, and like 15 or something like that sororities. I'm not quite sure,
Yeah.
but yeah, I know. I definitely know it's like a big part. But you can also like a lot of people like can have house parties and like just like have like chill nights with their friends and like go out to bars like once you're like 21, whatever.
Right.
So there still are like other things to do if you're not like huge on like the fraternity and like sorority life.
Yeah, and that's always good to hear too. And I just looked it up. You were pretty close, 22 frats and 13 sororities. So again, that's a at least for the frats, it's a pretty big number. For the sororities, it's a lot fewer than I would expect for a big school like Pitt. But that's besides the fact. In terms of maybe you're not into going to bars or going to frat parties or really just partying at all. If that's more your move, is there stuff to do on campus at Pitt, or are you kind of just stuck in your dorm room Thursday, Friday, Saturday night if you don't want to party in some way?
I feel like maybe on campus there aren't like a ton of events like when it comes to like a Friday night and stuff like that. But I feel like most people like that aren't into certain things like that kind of just like have people over, like have like a chill night with their friends and stuff like that.
Right.
So like usually just hanging out with people is like a go-to, I feel like, for people I know that like don't want to go out.
Yeah, and it's the same. Heard the same at a lot of other schools. Definitely experienced some of the same as well. And you brought up bars as well. I don't want to ask you this straight up because we might get into some trouble here. But if you are under the age of 21, are bars even an option, or are they pretty strict around Pittsburgh?
They're definitely an option, but it kind of depends on like which one you go to.
Do you find yourself going out to some of those at all, or do you kind of just stick to stuff going on campus?
I have been more recently I have been going out to those and they're a good time,
Yeah.
I'd say.
And Pittsburgh, the city is a big sports city, and Pitt is known for its sports as well too. They've had some good seasons. Kenny Pickett a couple years ago was tearing it up in the ACC. How big are sports on campus? Like, do people care about the games? Do they go to the games?
Yeah, so football games are definitely pretty big, especially like the tailgate atmosphere. There's like food, drinking, like
Yeah.
obviously like people get excited for stuff like that. But I mean the football team definitely not looking great, so they're kind of not getting as like they're not getting as much like popularity, I guess, as previous years.
Right.
I feel like a lot of people are like still big on like basketball. We have a really good like volleyball team as well, which
Okay.
is like exciting for people to watch, and I know that's becoming like more popular.
Interesting.
Soccer games usually are sold out as well. So yeah, it's definitely still like sports are pretty big, but it kind of depends like on the year, I guess.
Yeah, it makes sense, but it's not just like a football, basketball school, and that's all people care about. It sounds like people are happy to go to sports like volleyball and soccer, which sometimes in other big sports schools don't get as much love as the main sports.
Yeah, no, I definitely say that. Like people seem like people are always like open and like down to watch sports, especially like when we have like great players who are like super exciting to watch as well.
Yeah, and again, I brought this up before, but Pittsburgh itself is a great sports city. You have the Steelers, the Pirates in the end of September, and then April, and then you have the Penguins too, which kind of their season overlaps with college almost perfectly. Do people go out to pro sports games at all, or is it mostly just Pitt athletics?
Yeah, definitely a lot of Pittsburgh fans. A lot of people go to Penguins games and Pirates games just because like there's more games that like you can go to, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But also Steelers games. Like I do know people. I think there's like you might be able to get discounts at certain times for like these games as well. So I think that might factor into like who's going and like if people like actually want to go.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. And I should have asked this before too. The question just popped into my mind. In terms of the student body at Pitt, it's a state school for Pennsylvania. Do you find most students are from Pennsylvania, or are there a lot of out-of-staters that you've been able to meet?
Yeah, I'd say a lot of people and most people are probably from Pennsylvania, but not necessarily the Pittsburgh area. I feel like there's a lot of people like outside of Philly
Okay.
that like drive down to Pitt and stuff like that. But also there are like a lot of people from out of state as well, just because like you're gonna like there are a decent amount of students at Pitt.
Yeah, definitely. And it doesn't surprise me. Delco, Philly, they always invade everywhere. Uh, Again, another question I should have asked earlier on. We were talking about more of the academic side. What are some popular majors at Pitt that you see a lot of people study?
Yeah, I'd say popular majors. I'd go finance, accounting, bio's pretty popular. A lot of like mechanical engineering and
Interesting.
engineering type stuff. I'd say those are like the main like popular majors, I guess you could say. I'm not quite sure on like other majors outside of business.
But it sounds like Pittsburgh. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh no, just but definitely engineering and bio for sure.
Interesting. Do you see the school? I don't know if investing would be the right word. Do you see them kind of focusing in on those majors a lot, or is it evenly spread out in their attention to all corners of majors at their school?
Yeah, I'd say they definitely focus on like all majors, just like because it's easier to get like more students. But like it is kind of like a natural like draw for like people that want to go to med school, just because we do have like the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center,
Hmm.
which is like good opportunity for like a lot of jobs and stuff like that,
Okay.
in a big part of the city. So that's kind of why we get a lot of like bio, like pre med people, in my opinion.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And in terms of going back again onto that, the campus culture, campus life part, are there any unique traditions that you guys do at Pitt that maybe some other schools don't do, or you kind of just run of the mill big sports state school?
This kind of is like sports, but like a big thing at Pitt is probably the backyard brawl. So that's the
Is that West
Pitt,
Virginia?
yeah, Pitt versus West Virginia football game. They're like in Morgantown, like less than an hour and a half away.
Right.
Big rivals with them. So every year when we play them, like that's definitely a big deal. Like my freshman year, like it was like sold out, like biggest game of the year, and it was like I wasn't able to go, but like I just heard like how fun the atmosphere was and like how into it people were, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, it does sound amazing. And watching it on TV too, you could almost feel the electricity through your screen. And I think, again, that's a perfect segue into another question that just popped into my head. In terms of student tickets for football, at some schools it's really tough to get them. At some schools it's really easy. At Pittsburgh, how do you go about getting tickets for football and basketball and some of the more popular sports?
Yeah, so usually like you just get like an email from like the student athletics department at Pitt,
Okay.
and it's just like kind of like an update, like oh like student tickets are on sale. So and then it gives you the link to like purchase. So usually there's like three options, like the white, royal, and gold. So the white is just football season tickets,
Okay.
and it's like the cheapest package.
Right.
Then the royal, I believe, is just football, but you get like the student section T-shirt,
Well, that's
and
a
you
little bonus,
also
I guess. Yeah.
yeah, and you also have access to buddy passes, I believe. So you can like buy tickets, up to two tickets for other people for only $5 each.
Oh wow. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, and then the last one is the gold, which is football and basketball, the football shirt, the basketball shirt, and like the buddy pass feature, which is cool.
Yeah, so it's and is one significantly more than the other, or is it just kind of a small price bump when you go up in those ranks?
The the gold pass is definitely like a lot more, but it makes sense just because it has like the football and the basketball with the t-shirts as well. So that one's definitely like a lot more expensive, but it's probably worth it.
Which one did you end up getting if you got any of them your freshman and sophomore years?
Freshman year, I wasn't quite sure how the student tickets like worked, so I wasn't able to buy them because they sold out actually.
Oh wow.
But sophomore year, I bought the cheapest pass, just football.
Hmm.
It's like I go to like all the football games, and I also go to like most of the basketball as well. But I kind of just like if my friends like have like the best like pass, I kind of just ask them to buy me like a $5 ticket
Yeah.
because like overall it's probably cheaper. Like if I because like I don't really need the two shirts. Like I already have like a ton of pit merch,
Yeah, yeah.
so
It makes sense, and I guess the shirt's a little bonus. But again, people who are listening, you're gonna realize once you get to school, they're gonna just shower you with merchandise and shirts and drawstring bags and hats of wherever you end up going. And Rory, as we near the end of this episode, I'll ask you on this too. And it's we're getting to this point in our college careers where people are talking about studying abroad. Is that something that you plan on doing, or is it even is it like an option at Pittsburgh? How does the school go about that? And do you see people studying abroad often?
Yeah, about almost 50% of students at Pitt study abroad
Oh,
at some
wow.
point. Or actually, that might just be like business students. So actually, I'm not quite sure about that. I'll look that up. But I was thinking about studying abroad in Florence, Italy, actually.
Yeah.
I was planning on doing it the fall of this semester, but it was tough for me because I couldn't like find someone to take like my spot in like a house
Right.
because we have like a full year lease.
Yep.
So I basically just be paying like the studying abroad housing
And
and
the Pittsburgh housing.
the Pittsburgh housing, and it's just too expensive. Like it was just so expensive that I just didn't want to study abroad because I would have had to like cover all that extra money like from Pittsburgh housing as well.
Right.
But it's definitely a big part of what people do, and
Yeah,
it's
that's
definitely cool like, to hear about.
yeah, it's totally cool to hear. I know we've had some friends that have studied abroad and are going to go abroad too. And it's always cool to hear about their adventures and see their pictures. But Rory, again, this has been a great episode. And again, as we wrap up, one of my favorite questions to ask is just for you to describe your college, the University of Pittsburgh, in one sentence.
Yeah, I'd say it's a fun place, with a lot of electricity, and a lot of great people.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it is from the way you described it in this episode. Is there any advice you want to give to students, looking at schools or going to Pittsburgh or looking at Pitt? What would you tell them?
I'd say just like kind of focus on like when you're looking at schools, like like what you care about the most, whether it's like how good the school is academically, like what the social life is,
Hmm.
like how sports and like clubs. So I feel like kind of just focus on what you want. And also don't be afraid to like look at like a lot of schools because I feel like I could have looked at more schools and like I feel like it definitely doesn't hurt. It's like the more schools you look at, like the better fit you'll probably find in the long run.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I applied to 20 schools, if you believe it or not, because I had no clue what I wanted when applying to colleges. So I was applying to small schools, big schools, schools on the West Coast, East Coast, you name it, I was looking there. And I think it definitely does help, to your point, kind of figuring out what exactly you want. But Rory, I think we've talked about a lot of great stuff, not just about Pitt, but about college life in general. I just want to say again, thank you for coming on the show and, best of luck in your next 2 years at Pitt and beyond.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great for the opportunity.